I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you join me in prayer, please? Supreme Architect of the universe, we invoke thy blessing at this time. May this meeting be begun in peace and closed in harmony. Amen. No. This is a little bit too close here. Spurtification. Okay, gentlemen, is there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
Yes, we need to delete item 12 from the consent agenda.
Item number 12. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Brody and seconded by Commissioner Valentine to strike item number 12 from our agenda tonight. Ms. Gaffey?
Commissioners, all in favor of deleting item number 12 from this agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of our March 29th, 2012 public meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Brody and it has been seconded by Commissioner Valentine. Ms. Gaffey?
Commissioners, all in favor of approving the minutes of March 29th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. All right, moving right into presentations. First on the list, I'd like to invite Mr. John Tobe, the Director of the Allegheny County Library System, to come up and we'll have a proclamation about Library Week.
Thank you. Lucky enough to be joined by Mary Beth Young, our Board Secretary, and Renee Basin, one of our communications specialists for the library system. So,
Wonderful.
And Linda Berkey, our photographer as well.
Well, that's even better.
That's right. We need the press, right?
All right. Well, let's do this proclamation. Gentlemen? We can have you all come on up, please. Okay, for any of our newcomers that we have here, whenever we do a proclamation, when I was down in Annapolis, I complimented the governor on something, and whenever we hear the word, or when I raise my hand, we're all going to say whereas, because in a proclamation there's lots of whereas. So when I go, everyone will say whereas. So maybe we'll try that. Whereas. All right. Okay, Allegheny County, Maryland proclamation. Whereas libraries have historically served as our nation's great equalizer of knowledge between providing free access to all and whereas libraries work to meet the challenging needs of their users, including building collections, expanding outreach services, and increasing program, and whereas our nation's libraries provide a forum for diverse ideas and point of view that help us to better understand each other and ourselves, and whereas librarians are trained professionals helping people of all ages and backgrounds find and interpret the information that need to live, learn, and work in a challenging economy, and whereas librarians design and offer programs to meet their community's economic needs, providing residents with resume writing classes, interviewing workshops, and job-seeking resources, and whereas librarians are part of the American dream, places for education, opportunity, and lifelong learning. Now, therefore, we as the County Commissioners of Allegheny County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim April 8th through the 14th, 2012, as Library Week in Allegheny County and joined with libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America to celebrate National Library Week and take this opportunity to encourage our residents to visit one of the many libraries in Allegheny County to take advantage of the wonderful resources that are available at your library. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Allegheny County, Maryland to be affixed hereto this 12th day of April 2012, County Commissioners of Allegheny County, signed by all three commissioners. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, it's...
Did we get? You want to just do that straight, or?
Turn in.
1, 2, 3. On his camera.
We'll let that one go.
Oh.
We'll catch it later.
Can you do that one next?
That's right. Perfect, thank you. Now, it's only fair, since you
Yes.
honored the library system with this wonderful proclamation, and I thank you all very much. It's a wonderful treat. First one I've had since I've been here in the last dozen years. Thank you very much. We thought it's only fair to honor you and debut our latest poster from the Allegheny County Library System, featuring our own Allegheny County Commissioners. We use these posters, we put them in schools, we put them in locations across the county, featuring students, featuring principals, featuring teachers, and it's about time that we featured our local officials and our elected leaders. So,
Well, that's very
With that-
cool. Thank you.
and we have 5 individual posters for each of you, because my mother was so excited when I got our posters, I wanted to share that with you.
Wow, that is awesome.
Do you want to do one with...
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. One, two.
Perfect.
So you said there's 5, right?
For each of you.
For each of us.
For each of you.
But what we could do is, Jason, it's budget time. You can get like $25 a signature on those, can't you? That's 3 signatures, that's $75. We're working our way, Sheriff. We're working our way to get you a car. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bring that a little bit closer, Commissioner, I can't see that.
Anyhow, well, that's a special treat. Thank you.
Nobody throws darts at me.
I put it in front of you.
I noticed that.
Run out the darts.
That's exactly right. All right. If we could have Mr. Darrell Lee Powell from the Fair Housing Specialist. We have another proclamation today. Sure. Okay. All right.
I forgot my tie.
That's all right.
So if anybody wants to take pictures.
No. Yeah, you're gonna do this back to it. It's gonna balance it. The weight. Oh, the weight.
I'm going to say that.
Okay. All right. Do we need to do another practice? None. Okay, great. I appreciate the audience participation. It makes it that much fun. Allegheny County, Maryland proclamation. Whereat, whoops, look, I messed that up. Mr. Nedved raised his hand and I said whereat. Allegheny County, Maryland proclamation. Whereas we, the County Commissioners of Allegheny County, join with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in celebrating the 44th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, and Whereas the 1968 Fair Housing Act guarantees the right of all Americans to dwell in the neighborhood of their choice and is one of the most important components of our national civil rights policy. And whereas even though this non-discriminatory policy is the law of the land, its properly enforcement requires the continual cooperation of all levels of government, the real estate and home building industries, and private citizens. And whereas throughout Maryland, this spirit of cooperation is being provided through the efforts of our state, federal, and local governments, and with the support of the countless community and nonprofit organizations. And whereas promoting equal housing opportunity is essential to our larger mission of promoting justice in all areas of life and for all citizens. Equal housing opportunity has a dramatic impact on school integration and the acceptance and understanding of ethnic and racial diversity. Now, therefore, we, as County Commissioners of Allegheny County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim April 2012 as Fair Housing Month in Allegheny County and urge citizens to join in creating and promoting fair housing opportunities for all people. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Allegheny County, Maryland, to be affixed hereunto this 12th day of April 2012. County Commissioners of Allegheny County, signed by all three. Congratulations, sir.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
City of Cumberland, the Cumberland Human Relations Commission. I don't have any pictures to offer, but I can feed you and all of you on April the 26th when we host our 6th annual Fair Housing Conference out at Allegheny College from 10 to 3. And we'll be focusing on accessibility issues for the disabled in housing within the city of Cumberland, which we all know is a very old housing stock that does need to be modified. Thank you. I would love to stay for old time's sake. It looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting meeting, but the boys playing baseball.
Well, we need to do that, but if we can get a picture here,
Okay, sure.
we'll get it. We'll get that sent to you. Get that in. This one. Good. Oh,
Thank you.
good luck on the game.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Playing Mountain Ridge.
Oh my gosh.
Did you?
Yes. Okay, gentlemen, item number 3 is a road closing documents and possible action. This is a petition and order to close a road, and I will turn it over to Attorney Gary Hanna. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I suppose I don't get any whereases or anything. Whenever you were doing the whereas, you may have been crossing trades.
Really?
Yeah. So that's delegate that to someone else, and then you do it. You're crossing trades. We get in trouble with the unions.
Ah,
In any event,
it was his idea.
what I have for you to consider today is a road closing. It was originally opened by order dated July 29th, 2010. So it's been subject to considerable review by county staff. This property is in Rose Lawn in LaVale. My client, Ms. Gail Lynch, owns both sides of the property. And we would submit that the property is really not used by anyone for any purpose. In the file, we've submitted several letters in support of this. They've been submitted to the county clerk, and we would recommend them to you if you need additional information concerning that. We would not be anticipating presenting any testimony today, but the petition has been filed, it has been properly advertised, and we would ask you to take, react to the petition and act favorably on the order that has been submitted to the county clerk's office.
Okay. We're just looking for a motion and...
Well, because it is advertised that he's presenting that today, theoretically, if anybody in the audience wishes to comment for or against, this would be their opportunity before you take action.
Is there anybody in the audience? No? Okay.
Then if you all want to take action, certainly appropriate, has been reviewed by staff, particularly when we did the closing, or the opening, already, so to take action on the closing would be okay.
I mean, I don't have any problem. Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion for action on closing of this this road.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine and seconded by Commissioner Brody. Is there any question?
Nope.
Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, I'll call for a roll call vote on the order to close this section of the Woodlawn Avenue for petitioner Gail Diane Lynch. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your attention.
Yes, sir.
I don't get a picture, so it's...
Just got the road on the tax map, though, so that's a good thing.
That exactly is correct. Okay, item number 4 is commitment to change an outpatient mental health facility. I understand we've got some special guests, including a medical director and a PR director. Mr. Macker, would you do the honors, sir? It's a different uniform, sir.
I would, Mr. Commissioner. Commissioners, Mr. Rudd, Mr. Everly, Ms. Kathy, good to see you. The Reed poster there, is the reason why the sheriff is not on it is because they don't have books on tape? So I'll be on full patrol tomorrow.
I think that's a different month.
We have been talking about I am really, really excited to be here. And the reason I am here is not to bust on the sheriff, is to showcase a new business that some of you know because you've helped to bring it to Allegheny County. Committed to Change is a mental health facility, a private mental health facility, outpatient, and we started to see, my wife, which is a psychotherapist, we started to see the need in the community. There wasn't enough mental health professionals in our community, servicing our community. And we thought, we need to provide this to Allegheny County and the surrounding areas. It's important. One element that we were missing was a psychiatrist, so we called a friend psychiatrist in Baltimore. You have to come up and meet these people. They're fantastic people. They have needs, and we have to fulfill those needs. So from there, it turned into us calling you the county commissioners, and we ended up with the 3rd floor of Memorial Hospital Medical Building, thanks to Mr. Valentine. And we helped the city by using space that they otherwise weren't using. Dr. Regenda Loudon come up, which is a psychiatrist, fell in love with the place. We've been open for 4 weeks. We have room for 22 therapists, and we're ready to expand. Just briefly, a little bit of what we treat and what we offer the community is we treat ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, all spectrums of anxiety disorders, phobias, panic disorders, generalized anxiety, separation anxiety, eating disorders, which Dr. Loudon is his specialty is eating disorders, and adolescence, which is a big thing in Allegheny County. I'm gonna let you have your moment there. It's really hard to find in Allegheny County people that want to treat kids, and we take them from 5 all the way up. We also do behavioral disorders, bipolar, grief, loss, trauma, PTSD, marital problems, stress management. So we go from one spectrum to the other. You can get medication, you can get counseling, you can get therapy. It's full service. Currently, we have some of the Committed to Change staff here. Would you all stand? Those are some of our therapists. Incidentally, the guy on the end there, he was an Olympic hopeful for Serbia. They came from Serbia. He swam with Michael Phelps, and he was a hopeful for their Olympic team until their country fell apart. Another story right there. Sit down. So we have some of our
Yeah,
therapists
this
here.
whole PR thing, we're gonna work on.
Yeah, I'm tweaking it. So we have some of our therapists here, and we have another psychiatrist starting, and a psychiatric nurse practitioner starting this summer. So the sky's the limit. As long as the patients and the people in Allegheny County want mental health help, we will provide it. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Loudon. He wants to say a couple words, and thank you for bringing him to this county.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and honorable commissioners, attorneys, and members of the public, respected elders. Thank you all for having me here. And last August, for the first time, I drove to Western Maryland, even though I have been here since 1998, and I fell in love with the place.
I'd love to hear that.
And when I came to work at another clinic, and I met people. The people were so kind and loving to welcome me here, and I saw the need of the community and what was available and what was not available. I have known Jane Connell for the past 6 years, and in so doing, she reined in Andy Mackett. And so both of them have been very instrumental in having me here and bringing me here. And I welcome the opportunity to be an instrument to serve the community and the people of Allegheny County. It has been a wonderful ride so far, and everyone has been very loving and welcoming. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We really appreciate that. Doctor and Mr. Mackert, if you like, we are unveiling a new outreach for economic development starting tonight. It's called Commissioner's Chat. It's going to be a 15 to 20 minute interview with those who are bringing economic development opportunities to Allegheny County, either through new startups, expansion, or acquisition. We'll be airing that after our public meetings on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock on both of the cables channels, PM, and then on Thursday, I'm sorry, I have that wrong, Beth. It's at 6 o'clock on Wednesday nights and Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it will run just after that. We're hoping to interview some people tonight, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll be putting that on the air. And hopefully you all will stay tuned. We're also going to be taking those economic development opportunities and successes here in Allegheny County and posting that to our website as well, so that when your family and friends talk about Allegheny County, they can see what exactly is happening, exciting news when it comes to economic development. So I offer you all to be maybe number 2 or number 3, whatever fits in your schedule, Doctor. We'll discuss it. Thank you very much. All right. Well, commitment to change, that's exciting, guys. All right. Special hearing. Our constant yield hearing. As our finance director comes up, I have something to read, please. The constant yield hearing advertised on April 2nd, 2012 is held in compliance with the provisions of Title 6-308 of the Property Tax Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Constant yield is mandated by state law. The State Department of Assessment and Taxation is required to certify a constant yield rate to each county. In our case, we get 8 certified rates, 7 separate rates for towns and 1 for non-municipal areas. This is a rate that will generate the same amount of revenue that the county's tax rate produced last year. Please note, our constant yield deals only with real property, no personal property. And for the 10th year, our real property assessments are based on full cash value. The The law is very specific. If we do not advertise that we may exceed the constant yield rate, we are locked into the state's rate regardless of the economy, municipal tax differentials, and changes that would affect revenues coming into Allegheny County. This is an option that the current commissioners, along with all previous boards, cannot eliminate from our budget process. In fact, even if we wish to keep the same tax rate as same last year, we are required to publish this notice. This hearing will provide an opportunity for public input. The hearings are a preliminary budget, will be May 3rd, May 10th at 5 o'clock. The commissioners will adopt their budget and set levy on Thursday, June 7th, 2012 at 5 o'clock. Mr. Bennett.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Well, if I might, I'll just expand a little bit upon what you said and go ahead and read just a short blurb from the actual advertisement placed in the paper that explains just what we're doing with the rate. So the ad reads a little something like this. For the tax year beginning July 1, 2012, the estimated real property assessable base will increase by 0.6%. If Allegheny County maintains the current tax rate of 0.9820 per $100 of assessment, real property tax revenues will increase by 0.6%, resulting in $118,824 of new real property tax revenues. In order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to 0.9766, the constant yield tax rate. The county is considering not reducing its real property tax rate enough to fully offset increasing assessments. The county proposes to adopt the real property tax rate of 0.9810 per 100 of assessment. This tax rate is 0.5% higher than the constant yield and will generate $96,976 in additional property tax revenues. That ad ran in our paper April 2nd, and according to state law, we need to have a hearing on it, which is tonight for public comment. I will point out our rate last year, as I mentioned in the ad, was 9.820. The commissioners are proposing to reduce that rate to 9.810, a 10% reduction. So there is a reduction in the rate. It's just not all the way down to constant yield. One point of clarification too, when you add in tax differential for the municipalities, that reduces that rate further for each municipality within the county. We're actually going to see a decrease in our tax revenues this year of $598,000 as a result. So, and as I mentioned before, tonight's the hearing, so if anyone's signed up to speak, they're certainly able to speak about this tonight.
At this time, we'd like, if there's anybody who has signed up for this particular issue, the microphone is yours. No?
No sign-ups for this
Did
particular
did anybody forget to sign up? Nope. Okay, wonderful.
Thank you, and I will mention again, we're tentatively scheduled to have the preliminary budget May 3rd with adoption on June 7th, so there's certainly still time to comment between now and then.
Okay. All right, we'll close this portion of the hearing. Wonderful. Thank you, sir. All right, item number 6 is the Gateway Enterprise Zone application. I understand Mr. Tim Carney, our Senior Projects Manager, is here, sir.
Our Gateway Zone, Gateway Enterprise Zone has a 10-year duration and it expires this year. So we must submit an application to the state of Maryland to continue the program. And part of that application is a public hearing to gather comments from our citizens. So here we are, having fun. We're going to open that public hearing for the Gateway Enterprise Zone right now.
Okay. Ms. Kathy, do we have any questions? Anybody signed up for that particular hearing?
We have John Davis. He signed up for Enterprise Zone.
Wonderful. As Mr. Davis comes to the podium, please remind everyone to give your name and address for the record, please.
John Davis, Cumberland, Maryland. Under this gateway zone, what does it do and how does it work?
Okay, great.
That's all I got to say. And can it apply to startups too?
Would you please sign? I have a sign-up sheet that has to be turned in with the application. So
Okay.
someone's vote. And here's your pen.
Thank you.
I'll tell you how it works. The enterprise zone is a geographic area that needs a little help to get their economy rolling. And so government then concentrates benefits on that area. In our case, the real property tax discount is the big ticket that the companies are looking for. The city, the county, and the state then forego some tax revenue to businesses that make improvements and hire people. I think you also want to know where it was. I just happened to know you were going to ask that question, so I have a map. There's no way I can move this around so everybody can see it, but I'll talk about the high points that are on it. The area in blue is the zone. The north part is a Commerce Center Business Park, where Care First and Farm Care is. The southern part is North Branch Industrial Park. There's Hunter Douglas, I guess, is the biggest employer down there. FEMA is located there, AMM, and a number of other companies. Riverside Industrial Park, which is right here, is where you're seated right now, is in Riverside Industrial Park. And then we have the city of Cumberland, sort of, that's the hub of the zone. It has infrastructure then going out from the city to those extremes of the zone. And I believe you asked also about how it works. This program is a program that rewards businesses that make improvements and hire people. The enterprise zone discount on that real property, although it can be significant to the company, it's 80% discount on the increased assessment on the real property tax. So there's no erosion of the tax base. There's the county and the jurisdictions are guaranteed at least 120% of the current year assessment in this program. So it's a good program, and it only rewards those people who make improvements and hire people. Any other questions?
No?
Did you get it, John?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you did mention startups. Yes, startups, of course, if they're located in the zone and they qualify, there is some qualifications, like retail does not qualify under this program. Manufacturing, research and development, and a host of other uses do qualify. But if you'd like to get more information on it later, you can give me a call, and I'm glad to talk to you about it.
All right.
Perfect. Is there any other questions for this hearing? No? This hearing is closed then. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, item number 7 is a resolution number 12-5. This is the Gateway Enterprise Zone application. And unless you have any more comments?
Just to say that the resolution is in support of that application.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion in support of this application, resolution number 12-5.
So moved.
And second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Is there any discussion? Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, I'll call for a roll call vote to adopt resolution number 12-5. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll get this out of you.
You can leave that easel, we put that on there. Did he say that? He's taking his choice and he's going home. It is budget time. He didn't want to lose it in his department. All right, item number 8. This is the Maryland Department of Transportation priority letter. I understand our transportation planner, Ms. Sierra Whitfield, is here. Good afternoon.
Good evening. So, in the past, the county's priority letter consisted of a simple list of our priority projects for MDOT to consider for the Consolidated Transportation Plan. This letter also included the local municipalities' projects as an attachment. In 2010, Maryland law changed, and this year MDOT gave clearer guidance on how they evaluate and select the projects. The two biggest changes for the county were that the county must submit one prioritized list for the county and the local municipalities. And so we coordinated with the local jurisdictions to create that list. The second change was all of the projects had to demonstrate how they related to the Maryland Transportation Plan's goals, which are quality of service, safety and security, system preservation and performance, environmental stewardship, and connectivity to daily life. The county and the local jurisdictions have coordinated in compiling and prioritizing our transportation needs. The local municipalities, mayors, and the local delegates have signed the letter in their support. I'm requesting that the commissioners approve the 2012 priority letter. If you have any questions about the items in the priority letter, I'd be happy to answer your questions now.
Anything, gentlemen?
I'm good.
Where does the north-south corridor lie on that priority letter?
It was mainly the north-south corridor for the project. It was only for the Tier 2 study for the plan, which will evaluate the environmental.
And that's number 1 on the list?
That's number 1 on the list. Did I answer your question?
You certainly did.
Okay, good.
And correctly.
Thank you.
You get your own little board like that.
Okay.
Can I get your signatures on it? And on the letter, too.
Just a minute.
We have to vote on that and not to vote on that.
Okay.
Anyhow, gentlemen would like to entertain a motion that we sign this priority letter, 2012 priority letter for the Maryland Department of Transportation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody and seconded by Commissioner Valentine. Is there any discussion? Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, I'll call for a roll call vote on the approval of the transportation priority letter. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, item number 9, Allegheny County Narcotics Task Force Forfeiture Agreement. I understand that the sheriff is here.
You want me to come up?
Yes, please.
Better than just sit there and nod.
I thought about calling on a certain deputy, but I understand his vacation's no longer.
He's no longer employed. Commissioners, this is an agreement basically between in regards to the Narcotics Task Force, which consists of the Maryland State Police, the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office, Frostburg City Police, the FBI is involved, the State's Attorney's Office, and basically this is an agreement signed by all of those particular agencies in regards to seizures, financial, and forfeiture authority, which is usually within the sheriff. So I'll let Mr. Twigg from the State's Attorney's Office, he can explain a little bit more because it is a legal paper that we are trying to get signed.
Welcome, Mr. Twigg.
I feel a little awkward coming for you and not asking for money.
That's a wise idea.
And the good news about it is that, as I'm sure the commissioners, the administrator, and the county attorney are fully aware the Narcotics Task Force is a self-sustaining entity, which does not draw from the taxpayers' money. What the MOU has done is made some slight modifications, most namely of which being that it now is listing the sheriff, or new sheriff, as the authority associated with it. This has always been the standard practice. We also did a comparison with other combined task forces and their MOUs as it deals with forfeiture. So we added some additional safeguards and bookkeeping as it relates to it. It's pretty much a pro forma type of agreement, but we are here to answer any questions you may have in reference to it.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions? Okay. Gentlemen, would like to entertain a motion that we sign the Allegheny County Narcotics Task Force Forfeiture Agreement.
So moved.
And second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine and seconded by Commissioner Brody. Any question? Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, I'll call for a roll call vote for the appropriate signatures to be signed on the Task Force Forfeiture Agreement. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Is that Mr. Rudd in the background of the photograph of the comic book? Probably.
This is for comedians tonight, isn't it?
What do we got? What do we got, sir?
Well, they're right, this is full comedian, so I brought back a much larger easel.
There we go. All right.
I also heard that comment going out the door, but
Very wise.
now I'm blocking Kathy, you don't want to do that. Yeah, see, I'm much higher.
Wonderful.
We're going to have to give the library more money to get the pictures. It's just as simple as that. Okay. Actually, Tim, you just moved. I can't see when the people come. Thank you.
I think he just wants it back up where he can see himself.
Oh. Wow.
See, there you go.
Don't be mesmerized.
Oh.
Anyhow, we'll save that for another day. Okay, item number 10, gentlemen, and this is a biggie. The pilot agreement. Rocky Gap Lodge and Golf Resorts, Evitz Resort, LLC. I understand that Mr. Everly, our county administrator, is going to talk first.
Thank you, Commissioners. Earlier this week on Tuesday at our public work session, we had an opportunity to spend some time going through the pilot agreement, and we started off that evening with the observation that it's important to note that the payment in lieu of taxes for this project is actually stipulated in state law under the Maryland Property Tax Code Article Title 7, Section 515. And the language that's specified in that article is the outcome of the 2007 special session of the General Assembly. Just quickly, Commissioners, the pilot agreement that you have before you tonight, which you have the opportunity to take formal action on, achieved 4 basic goals that we had established early on in this process. And first and foremost, the county did not want to find itself in a position of putting any cash into a project at Rocky Gap. Secondly, we did not want to find ourselves in a position of having to join the state or other parties who were being requested to retire a portion of the bondholder's debt. Thirdly, the county did not want to find itself in a position of having to capitalize any improvements at the facility in exchange for relieving us with the opportunity to generate additional revenue at the site. And fourth, and perhaps most importantly, we recognize that this is an important economic development project for the county. There is the proposition for a 50,000 square foot addition being added to the Rocky Gap Resort facility, and that is all being funded by the private sector. So that being said, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask if you would take a motion, and then I'd like to invite two very important guests that we have here this evening to the podium to introduce themselves and to talk about this project a little bit further, if you don't mind.
Okay, gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion that we sign this pilot agreement.
So moved.
And second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Valentine, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Is there any discussion?
Thank you. Commissioners, we have with us tonight Ivan Lanier, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Greenville Consulting Group, and joining him is an attorney from Chevy Chase, Maryland, Mr. Don Hogan, both of whom have been principals working on this project side by side with the county now for the past several months. And Ivan and Don, if you would come over here to the podium real quick.
We'll have the library system make you a little poster too.
Well, again, Ivan Lanier and Don Hogan. Long ago, when you run a company, you know never to travel unless you got a lawyer present with you. We're very excited to be here in Allegheny County. This has been a long time coming. As we looked at other opportunities here in the state dealing with the casino operations, I will say the commissioners, you've really opened up your doors and invited us in. And when we first pulled on the project on the Rocky Gap Resort, we knew that it fit our portfolio. We certainly are involved in Native American gaming in other parts of the country, and we felt that this is a great small venue that we will excel at, and that's why we're committed to bringing the major economic development here to this county. We do plan on keeping the existing amenities at the resort. There will be no loss of jobs, and we're looking at an additional 480 plus jobs. So our entire phase one will be right around between $55 and $60 million to the county. So we think it's a good time to be here in this wonderful county, and we're delighted. So we thank you for that.
Well, thanks. Yes, Don Hogan. Evis Resort is the official name of the entity that's developing this project at Rocky Gap. You've probably just heard it referred to Rocky Gap, but we've taken the name from the mountain that looks down on the resort. That's the name of the entity that's going to bring it forward. And just second, Ivan, it's been a good working relationship so far. You all have been very accommodating to us, although I wasn't sure whether to bring my skis or my golf clubs up with me today. But anyway, it's always a pleasure to come up here to beautiful Western Maryland. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far.
Well, thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you, Don. It has been a great working relationship, and we're expecting it to blossom into many, 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 many other buds. And so we're really excited for what your commitment to us is. So,
and I'd like to say that I had the honor of meeting Don. He probably doesn't remember, in Leroy Meyer's office over a year ago. And he was introduced to me as a very honorable man and was the right man to deal with getting this deal going. Shortly after that, introduced to Ivan, who's become a good friend. They spend a lot of time in Allegheny County. Most larger companies would have done this all by letters or phone calls. These gentlemen spent a lot of time here learning what the county needs are, what we want, how things can be done best here. So I'm sure it's going to be a great working relationship. I appreciate everything you've done.
Let me say thank you to Dave Everett. Dave has been great, and getting back to us, and our parent company, Lace Gaming out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. So we're dealing with time zones, and Dave has been really great and kind of putting us all together and making this happen. And then the only request that we would have is that we not follow the sheriff and narcotics and all that. But other than that, everything is fantastic.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. Well, gentlemen, unless there's any other comments, I guess we're ready for the question. Ms. Kathy.
Commissioners, we have a motion made by Commissioner Valentine and a second by Commissioner Brody for the signature on the pilot agreement for Rocky Gap Lodge.
Let me just stop. I apologize. We did not ask for public comment. Is there anybody who would like to?
I have a question.
Ms. Schweitzer, come on up to the podium so that The people on the web can hear you. Please state your name and your address.
I am Patricia Schweitzer. I'm an advocate for the disabled and weak and handicapped, physically, mentally, and emotionally. As everybody knows, job creation in this particular area has been very, very slow, if any at all. And when you mentioned there would be jobs, I had been out there and talked to whoever was in management at that time. And I also talked to several people and discovered that most of the employees were from out of state. Now, is this where the jobs are going to go for people that will be from the district that you choose rather than Allegheny County?
No, we are the previous owner. I mean, it was more of a, at Rocky Gap, it was a kind of state, kind of private, public partnership. And it was a management, it was a hotel company that was hired to run the establishment. We are committed, as we've spoken to commissioners, to hiring locally. And we would hope that you would hold us to that. We will be bringing on human relations employees and such, so we are looking to, there's enough pool of qualified people here, and we intend on using this.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilmot.
Okay, well, my name is 5134 Avenue. I've only got one question. What is going to be the split on the take? Is it going to be, like when we voted on this, it was 65-35. The state was going to get 65 and the casinos would get 35. And they've reduced it. Some people are getting different. What are we going to get? Are we going to get 50-50, 40-60, or what?
We as in what is the state getting?
What is going to be our take?
Okay.
What is going to be the split?
That's
When
one
we
between
won
the-
the vote ballots, it told us right on the vote ballot, we would be getting 65% and the casino would be getting 35. What are we going to get now?
The split between the state and the casino is 50-50 right now.
50-50.
50-50. But that has no effect on what the county is going to get as our return from these gentlemen.
The reason I asked because I didn't see that in the newspaper.
Right, because that's something that's between the state and...
So what do you figure on getting for the county out of this 50-50?
The county's percentage of the state's portion of the gaming activity is 2.25%. 2.25% of the state's portion of that. And we estimate
get 2.5%.
2.25%. That's correct, sir.
Wow. Unbelievable.
That is actually something that they decided in Annapolis, sir.
Yeah.
They did not decide that in Allegheny County, sir.
I think you guys need to get under and boost it up about 25%.
We're taking Mr. Wilmot with us.
Do we have a hand in the back? David, did someone raise a hand in the back? Okay, very good.
No.
He was looking for a whereas.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Kathy. We'll call for the question now, but it was important to have public input. That's what we're here for, so.
Okay. A motion has been made and seconded. I'll call for a roll call vote on item 10, the pilot agreement. Commissioner Brody.
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine.
Aye.
Commissioner McKay.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Brenda, if you would kindly do us the honor
Whoa,
of escorting
whoa. No. I've got somebody in-house to go, Sheriff, lock him up.
Really have narcotics on.
It's up to you. If you all want to stay for the rest of it, you're good. If not, that's...
This is a lot smoother than what goes on in Annapolis, so we enjoy it.
We'll answer any questions anybody wants to bring privately to us afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being that is a good example of how good of partners they're going to be to the community. They've been worried about the community, involving them. Thank you, Mrs. Schweitzer, about the jobs. they're committed to it, to make it work. And I think it's wonderful that Rocky Gap now is going to be a private entity, and let's hope we're going to have a really, really successful resort out there. And we're going to do our best to make sure that that happens, gentlemen. Thank you. All right, gentlemen, Miss Kathy, what do we have on our consent agenda?
Well, we have 9 items this evening and a recommendation from County Administrator Epperly for the approval of the 9, because item 12 was removed earlier in the meeting. So, because I have a cough, I'm not going to explain those, but if anybody has a specific question, I'll be glad to do so.
Yes, please, Commissioners. The reason why item number 12 was deleted from the agenda this evening is that as our staff working in partnership with the town of Westernport was able to identify an interested citizen in that community who actually stepped forward and was willing to take these properties over, pay the taxes, acquire the properties, and improve them. So we thought that was a real bonus for us.
Good deal. Good. All right. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept our consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody and seconded by Commissioner Valentine. Is there any discussion? Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, all in favor of adopting the 9 items on the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Ms. Kathy, do you have anything to report this evening?
Yes, we had bids that were opened this week on 2 big projects. The first one was Shades Lane Sewer Rehabilitation, and we received 4 bids on that. And the second was the replacement of bearings for bridge number A73, and 3 bids were received for that. And they have been referred to Utilities and Public Works for review.
Perfect. Mr. Everly?
Nothing, Commissioners, other than to report that at this point in time, we do list next Tuesday as a possible date for a work session. At this point in time, we do not have any items, so we will be corresponding with the press sometime early next week as to whether or not we will have a meeting or not. But right now, it doesn't appear as though we will be.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Rudd.
You're welcome.
Commissioners?
Yes, sir. I'll just give you a brief, quick rundown here. What's been going on since we last met at Luke, with Easter in there. Wednesday, April 4th. Oh, shoot. Let's start with Monday, April 2nd. Was Lona County, Westernport, and Midland Town Council meetings. Wednesday, April 4th, Allegheny County Human Resources Development Commission event and Maryland Access Point. Monday, April 9th, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Council Union Negotiations. Maryland Rural Counties Coalition meeting, Sindai, adjournment, Annapolis. Tuesday, April 10th, several constituent meetings, Barton Town meeting, Allegheny County Commissioners Public Work Session, and Allegheny County Board of Education meeting.
That's actually a scratch. That's Tuesday.
Yeah, and
It's coming.
I actually knew that because I was.
Thank you, sir.
Wednesday, April 11th, Allegheny County Task Force on Child Abuse and Neglect, Luke Town meeting, and South Cumberland Business and Civic Association meeting. Thursday, April 12th, U.S. Senator Ben Cardin was with him a couple places today in Allegheny County, Greater Cumberland Committee meeting, and Allegheny County Commissioners Public Business meeting, which we're at right now. So.
Perfect. Commissioner Valentine?
Well, for the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the activities in Annapolis, and I'm sure our 2 guests here who work every day down there can tell you that this past Monday night was rather unbelievable, even for Annapolis. Everything seemed to be going rather well until the last minute, and everything fell apart. So our legislators were unable to pass the budget that was proposed by the governor. So right now we're looking at operating under what they call the doomsday budget. Amazing thing about that is the very next day they realized that half the items in the doomsday budget they couldn't do. So now we've got two non-functioning budgets, but I'm sure they'll get together first part of May and make it all right. Ivan, you'll see to it that they do it right this time with you. The one bright point this year, Allegheny County was part of creating what's called the Rural Coalition. Started out with 4 counties. We've had additional counties join them. We think we'll have a number more join before the next legislative session. And the coalition for the first year was quite successful. We were able to help get the what's known as the septic bill modified quite a bit, make it much more reasonable for the rural counties. Other issues, we were successful on having amendments placed on several bills, worked very closely with MACO. So I think you'll be hearing a lot more about the Rural Coalition as we move along. And once again, I'd like to thank our 2 guests for bringing the development to Allegheny County that they're bringing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Kathy, who do we have signed up this evening?
We have Kenneth Wilmot.
Happen before our next public business meeting. Mr. Wilmot.
Yes. Thank you for having the meeting tonight. I'm Kenneth Wilmot. I live at 513 4th Avenue. I was born and raised on the street. 6 years East Side, 6 years Fort Hill, 20 years in the Air Force, another 15 and a half years working for the government, the Army and Air Force exchange system. Tomorrow I'll close on another piece of property on 4th Avenue. I'll own 6 pieces of property up there. I'm quite concerned about animal control in the city of Cumberland. I have been character assassinated all up and down the line, city and county, because I speak up against the practice of allowing cats to roam free. My main concern about animal control is the filth that they spread. Every animal, every cat carries over 200 deadly diseases. You can't see them, but they're there. If you get bit, you can die. Now, yesterday, we had a scheduled animal control meeting. I went down to attend this meeting. Nobody showed. I was the only person there. No sign on the door. Security said, "Oh yeah, we've got a meeting coming." They're there. So finally, at around 8 minutes to 2, he come over and said, "You Mr. Wilmot?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, county animal control sheriff said they canceled that meeting." Now, who canceled that meeting and for what reason? There was no sign on the door, no public announcement, no nothing. I wasted an hour and a half of my time down there. Who canceled it?
I'm not part of that board.
I can't answer that, but Mr. Wilmot, I'll follow up with you.
Okay, yes, sir. Next thing is, I tried to find out, call Mrs. McDaniels, and there's no way I can get a hold of her. I've called around. I came out here. You people don't even have a telephone number for it, according to the lady up at the door. So, I mean,
We do have contact information.
this is ridiculous. A scheduled meeting, and nobody shows up but me. Anyway,
We'll get that information.
in January of 2011, at the board meeting, the board voted unanimously to have a no-kill policy. They did not approve a no-kill policy at the shelter for the very reason that we've experienced during this past year. We've had hundreds of animals out there get sick. It costs thousands of dollars. It costs $800, $600 for our money to help pay a lady whose dog got sick out there. Now, according to the report, only 67 cats and 1 dog died out there. Now then, any commercial breeder or rescue center, if they had this kind of record, this very same group of people would be screaming bloody murder. They would want to nail these people to the cross. But they're allowed to get away with it. The no-kill policy is not working. It never will. Now then, What is the proposed budget for the animal control shelter for the coming year?
Jason, do you know that number?
$34,000 for animal control.
How much?
I'm sorry, excuse me, it's the wrong line. $300,851 for animal control, $48,962 for the animal shelter. And they're relatively in line with last year's as well.
So it's about the same as it was last year?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I use those figures, and I don't know how many employees are out there, but I know we do have 4 paid employees, if I'm not correct. Is that correct? We have 4 paid employees out there, full-time.
What is the?
Control, that's about right, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5?
4 or 5 full-times and a half a dozen or so or more of part-time employees.
Okay, these people are all being paid by the taxpayer.
That's correct.
Why do we need all these people out there? At the beginning of January 2011, there was only 4 people out there. And prior to this no-kill policy, for the last 20 years, they had no problem with dogs getting sick, cats dying, dogs dying, all this other stuff. Your no-kill policy isn't working. You need to get rid of it. Now then, I did a little, just
I assume you'd like another 5 minutes, sir, correct?
if I'm the only person speaking.
I think you are. The other 2 have already been covered.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have another son.
Oh, we do?
We do. Kevin Schaefer.
Kevin, can you yield?
I'll yield, absolutely.
He'll yield.
I've only got a couple of
He'll
things
yield
to
the
say.
balance to the
Now
gentleman
then.
from Fort Avenue.
I pulled out just a couple of statistics from what I gathered from the newspaper and from the budget. It's costing the taxpayers $101,810 to support 1 employee at the animal control shelter. It's costing the taxpayer $736.42 per animal. Now, no commercial business can afford this kind of overhead, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know why you people are backing up this, allowing this ASPCA to run our shelter. They don't know what they're doing. Let me tell you, just one, I can't believe what the guy said. At the city council meeting, Mr. Brubaker stood up and said, it's impossible to catch any disease from a cat. The only way that you're going to catch a disease from a cat, you would have to eat the feces. Now, I cannot believe this man knows what he's doing. The place is dysfunctional. Taxpayer calls out there, hey, my neighbor's dogs are barking. How about come fire them up? Now, you got to come out and fill an affidavit. Who works for who in this business? I filled out 13 of them. And the dogs barked up to the date Mrs. Kerr came and got them. Next is you call, hey, I've been attacked by a big pit bull. Come out and fill out an affidavit. Again, what are we paying these people for? We're supposed to have animal control. They ain't controlling anything. You call them up and say, hey, I've got a cat living in the ground hole next to my house with 4 kittens. How do I come picking it up? They tell you, we don't pick up cats. They are free roaming and they can go any place they want to. Now then, where does these people get the idea they own my property? I pay the taxes on it. These animals are not allowed on my property. A farmer owns a piece of land. His horses, his cattle can't go running any place they want to. Where do they get this idea that cats are free roaming and they're allowed to go any place they want to? That's why we have all these animal diseases in City of Cumberland. We're plagued with them. Down south end, it's unbelievable. Cats running everywhere. It was right in the paper. We're overpopulated with cats. I mean, just since you went to this no-kill policy, everybody said, "Oh, great! Now people love little kittens, but they forget they grow up, and they kill. Cats kill every bird that comes in front of them, every squirrel. I've watched them do it in my yard. Next thing is, I complained about the cats up in the park. I'm not complaining about the cats being there. I'm complaining about the fact that they use the children's playground as a party. And that's where a lot of our children are getting all these problems with autism. These diseases carried by cats and dogs is what you can't see. And people wonder why all our children have autism. 1 in 88 now is going to have autism. The common denominator is we got people living with anywhere from 10, 50, 60 cats in their house. And they wonder where people are getting Lyme disease. The more cats and dogs you got running around in your house, the more chances your child's going to get autism. People's going to deny it, but in the near future you're going to find out there's a lot of doctors. It's right on TV. Little children and adults should never sleep with their pets. Obviously, they're catching diseases from these pets. I see every day come up and down my street people riding with their dogs sitting on their lap. What's the difference if they're talking on the phone and have a dog in their lap? They shouldn't have a dog. That's where all these diseases are coming from. Of course, I've already been declared a crazy old man by everybody in the county and the city government, so you can call me what you want, you can character assassinate me, but I guarantee you, until you get these cats and dogs out of people's houses and start having concern for the health of our children. The children up there playing on that playground, they're falling down, they're walking through it, they're getting stuff in it. You got to have some interest in controlling these cats. I can't have a dog and let it roam all over the neighborhood. Why should people's cats? I own that property.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilmot.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, sir. Mr. Kevin Schaefer. Oh, it's
Commissioners, I'm Kevin Schaefer. I live at 829 National Highway in LaVale. I'm here as a private citizen. As you remember, about a month ago, I sent an email to you 3 Republicans. I also sent the original email to Republican Senator Edwards, and also what I like to call the 3 Republican delegates that we have, Kelly, Beitzel, and Myers. And in that email, I asked for, of all things, tax increases. And I outlined my reason for tax increases. And one of the tax increases that I asked specifically that they increase was the Bay Area Restoration Fund. And I'm happy to report that with all the upheaval, incompetence, or whatever you want to call it at the very end of the session, they were able to pass that. And it's going to double the Bay Area Restoration Fund from $30 to $60. Now, Commissioners, no one likes to pay more in taxes. As I told you, the reason why I was asking for this is because we need to clean up the bay, and we need to save, the crabs and the oysters and the rockfish for future generations. And what I've given to you is a letter to the editor. It's from the Cumberland Times News, September 13, 2010. The author is Kim Coble, Maryland Executive Director of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And I would just like to read this to you to kind of reiterate why we did need to increase this particular tax. So bear with me as I go through this, it's quite lengthy. Users of the Georges Creek wastewater treatment plant who may receive higher bills because of improvements at the plant should understand that those upgrades already are providing substantial, tangible benefits to the health of local residents, as well as to the health of Georges Creek itself. This important fact has been missing from discussions about the rate increase. Georges Creek historically has been one of the most polluted streams in the state, and local residents have been directly at risk as a result. Last year, the Georges Creek treatment plant discharged 48 million gallons of raw sewage directly into the creek, according to a database maintained by the Maryland Department of Environment. That's almost twice as much as Baltimore City discharged last year. Now let me repeat that. Last year, the Georges Creek treatment plant discharged 48 million gallons of raw sewage directly into the creek. That's almost twice as much as Baltimore City discharged last year. Now that would have been 2009, of course. Anyone who comes into contact with Georges Creek after such discharges, kids swimming or trying to catch tadpoles, people canoeing, fishing, is at serious risk for illness. Bacteria readings in the creek have been as high as 1,000 times above the standard the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sets for safe levels of bacteria in a freshwater stream used for recreation. Nutrient pollution, a second form of contamination coming from the Georges Creek plant discharges, can also damage the biological health of the stream and waterways downstream, such as the Potomac River. The $28 million project to upgrade the plant is already reversing these dangerous trends. As a result of improvements operational this spring, the plant can better handle high volumes of stormwater and expects to discharge substantially less raw sewage into Georges Creek. Since April, the plant has discharged no sewage, according to county and state records. Those records also show a dramatic drop in bacteria levels downstream of the plant in Georges Creek. The benefits don't stop there. A scientific report issued this week found that improvements completed years ago to reduce nutrient pollution at the giant Blue Plains wastewater plant in Washington, D.C. have made the Potomac River cleaner than it has been in decades. Scientists found huge beds of underwater grasses that recovered as the water got cleaner. Those grasses doubled since 1990, in turn cleaning the water and providing habitat for fish and other aquatic life. The kinds of improvement at the Washington treatment plant were the exact same as those accomplished at the Georges Creek plant. The creek could rebound in the same way as the lower Potomac, benefiting not only the stream, but those residents who enjoy it. I should mention that people across Maryland are helping to defray the costs of the Georges Creek upgrades. We all pay into the flush fund once a month, and some of that money was used for the Georges Creek project. We too will see benefits to the Potomac River and the Chesapeake Bay to which the Georges Creek runs. Some have called for postponing nutrient reduction upgrades at other wastewater plants around Maryland until the flush fee fund, the Bay Restoration Fund, is more solvent. That would be unfair, cutting off funding and benefits that follow to other areas after Allegheny County has received its share. The Celanese wastewater treatment plant in Allegheny was completed in 2005. The Georges Creek improvements became operational this spring. The county's third major sewage plant in Cumberland City is expected to be finished next May. All three projects were partially funded with flush fee money. We believe these sorts of projects, while sometimes painful to pay for, are still worth the money for the quality of life benefit residents receive. And that's exactly why, in that email, I asked you gentlemen to increase the real estate tax and the income tax, not to pay for something like this, but if you see something in your community that you value, and we certainly all value the Chesapeake Bay, that you certainly have a result or have an obligation as a society to pay to fix it. And what the legislators did this year was decided to put more money into this fund so that we can keep the bay as pristine as whenever we were growing up, and to have a environment so that in the future our children and grandchildren can enjoy the bay. To sum up, the reason that I came here tonight to describe this is not only this fee, but as you gentlemen know, you're going to be cutting taxes and you're going to have all these people over here on this side asking for increases in their budget, the school board, the health department, and my pet project, of course, which is that dental lab, which for $400,000 to $600,000, we could help the most dentally challenged people in the state of Maryland get dental care. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we should have people come here and ask to increase taxes. I doubt that you'll get very few, but the Bay Area Restoration Fund increase, I believe, will help the Chesapeake Bay, and I'm certainly glad that the legislature took that action this year. Thank you.
Could I ask you a question, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
I know you favored the increase in the Chesapeake Bay tax rate.
Yes, sir.
Would you also then vote for Delegate Beitzel, even though he's a Republican, his bill that he put in that says monies collected through the flush tax have to remain in that fund to be used strictly for the Chesapeake Bay cleanup, because to this point, about 30% of it goes to the Chesapeake Bay, and the other 70% becomes the piggy bank for the governor, who removes it for all other purposes. In fact, part of his budget this year, while raising those taxes, was already to be able to remove, I think it was $2.25 million from that fund to be used on something that has nothing at all to do with the Chesapeake Bay. So if you're interested in raising the taxes for the Bay, would you be willing to support Delegate Beitzel's proposal that if the government tells you they're collecting it for the Bay, then it has to remain for the Bay?
I certainly support Delegate Beitzel, and I think the key word is it's a trust fund. And by the very definition of a trust fund, the monies that go in are supposed to be held in that trust fund, the same way with the transportation trust fund. I think what we'll end up looking at is some sort of constitutional amendment that will tie the hands of the governor, because regardless of whether it's a Democrat or Republican, I think that both parties would try to resort to that type of trickery to balance their budget. I prefer that Governor O'Malley would have just said to the people, we're running short of money and we need to increase the income tax. And he tried to do that, but unfortunately that didn't pass as well. But yes, I do support Delegate Beitzel, and I think it shows the quality of man that he is to have put that bill into the hopper.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kathy, do you have anything else?
No other sign-ups.
Okay. All right, I'd like to remind everyone of some of our upcoming meetings. Our next public work session will be Tuesday, April 17th, 2012 at 5 o'clock in room 212. I'd like to make an announcement for our second budget workshop, Thursday, April 19th, 2012 at 3 o'clock in room 212. Please see the news release. Our next public business meeting will be Thursday, April 19th, 2012 at 5 o'clock in room 100. There will be no public business meeting on April 26th, 2012. And that the Residential Electronic Recycling Day will be Saturday, May the 5th. Thank everyone for participating in your government, and have a good evening.